we talked about it quite a bit. If you want me to jump into that part,
Sure, sure.
Ben and John worked on it quite a bit and got drafts from Pocatello and a few other places, and we read Twins, and we appreciate Jack Johnson and Don and Brent for doing that for us, because we let them lead the way on this particular activity. But we did have a good discussion yesterday, and it even came up. So what is the ramifications of us signing this? And even our attorney, and I love our attorney, even though he didn't. He said, "You guys are basically wasting your time. You're just reaffirming, the Second Amendment and the Constitution." And we said, "Well, that's what we're trying to do, and that's what our constituents are asking us for, and we agree with that." So, but the ramifications that we looked at was, so it's just like when I got my concealed weapons permit. I said, "So now I've told the feds that I own guns, because I've got a concealed weapons, and is the Democrats going to come back and blow back on us, take away our money for the county stuff?" In my mind, that's a real possibility. So we just didn't do this lightly just because Twin did it and some of the other places did it, but we passed the same thing that Twin did. We appreciate them drafting that. Ben had a couple of items that he wanted to put in there, and Mike says you're kind of repeating yourself and it's redundant. But yes, we signed the same thing, and only the 3 commissioners signed it on behalf of the rest of the county elected officials and stuff. And so that part has taken place yesterday.
Well, we wanted to mention just quickly, too, that we're joined by Jerome County Commissioner Charles Howell, and this came about very, very fast in the sense that Twin passed this resolution Twin Falls County last Tuesday. So within 6 days, you were able to turn it around and do this, and did you also get on board some of the other county officers as they did here in Twin?
We did not have them sign it. We did. That was a difficult part yesterday, because I said, well, now I can't say we didn't ask any of you. I will leave the names not out there, but we had one decline to sign it, and we had another one that was on the fence, and that was the 2 that participated in our discussion. And we didn't ask the rest. So we just figured, we get told that we're the leaders of the county, so you guys do it. And we said, okay, fine, we got shoulders, we'll do it. So that's the answer to that question.
Well, I was going to say, of course, you got to work on this so quickly that you probably didn't have a lot of time to sit down and ask everyone else to opt in, or you moved forward in less than a week. I'm going to guess that some people perhaps might have gotten on board if they'd had more time to deliberate it.
And that's a good point, and I think that's a fair statement. We didn't ask, like I say, we didn't ask the other ones. The only 2 we really discussed it with were the 2 that were sitting there during our discussion yesterday. So that's a fair statement, and that's why I'm not going to throw their names out there, because we're still all Second Amendment people, and we still support this, and so yeah.
Well, we wanted to point out too as well that that this thing could, ultimately, I don't think it's going to sweep all 44 counties.
No,
maybe 42, but I could see it, and maybe not even that. But I think that there's a template now out there, and you could see perhaps 25, 30 counties adopting something like this.
To us, it's really, it just supports it. It's just saying, hey, like Forrest said, I do support what Forrest said. This tells people when they walk in that, hey, we respect your rights to own guns and so forth and so on. You know what you're getting into, because this will make publicity and however you want to put it. So, yes.
What do you hear from some of the local governments in your own county, in Eden and Jerome and various places? I'm sure that, that they're probably getting some feedback from constituents too.
Well, and I look at that, Forrest led the charge in Twin, and it kind of bled over to Jerome. I got a few comments here, there, probably half a dozen or so. I don't know what the other 2 commissioners got, but we didn't really have a push on us to get this signed, and we didn't talk to the city or any of the cities, Eden, Hazleton, or Jerome. Frankly, we didn't do it. So,
but yeah. there may be some interest. They may be calling you though, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's what we say. We like Twin's draft, and Pocatello had a good draft, and we looked at that and said, we'll neighbor our sister counties, so we'll go from there.
So have you, Charlie, Steve Millington here, have we had any comments or questions from other counties within the Magic Valley area, like Lincoln County or Gooding, or have you heard anything from any of them?
I have not, personally. The drawback to me is, like it was on Bill on Friday, I've been gone out of town for a couple of weeks, and John and Ben have been carrying the heavy load. I haven't made any of my joint meetings I'm starting up this week, but I have not personally heard from any of the other counties at
Okay.
this time. No.
I thought it was interesting too because as this thing was adopted in Twin Falls County, I was reading some of the internet chatter, and of course, people are very bold when they're on the internet,
Sure.
maybe more so than when you see them in public. And I got the impression that people were doubting you, that you weren't going to go ahead with this, and I had no indication of that when I talked to the three of you.
Well, I guess on one hand you could say I didn't feel like we had any choice, because I do agree with our attorney that we're redundant, but I do agree with Forrest when he says, this reaffirms to the general public and to the people coming into the state and the county that, yeah, we support the Second Amendment, and you better know that when you get here.
I gotta reflect on something for a moment though, because I brought this up to Steve off air earlier. When it happened in Twin Falls County, well, first of all, there was a rally, and that was front page news the next day and made television. And then the decision last Tuesday here in Twin Falls County, same thing happened, and yet you did this. And I'm not aware of I think we may be the only media so far that are talking to you about it.
And that's okay. I don't think any of the three of us do it for the publicity. I mean, they know who we are, but we don't do it for the publicity. We try to do things for the right reasons.
And maybe because you did it so quickly too that perhaps there even wasn't a lot of chatter on the street to attract a lot of attention from other media.
True, and that could be. And I know it. It's listed. We send out our agenda to a lot of people, and I was quite surprised when nobody showed up yesterday. And we had it listed as sanctuary city, and we all agreed upon we didn't want that connotation on there for the same reasons I said on Friday. But yeah, I was kind of somewhat surprised we didn't see anybody in there besides our staff and us.
When you don't use the word sanctuary, what's the title of the resolution then? What does that become?
Basically, it's just like twins, and I couldn't read you. We're reaffirming the rights for the people to follow the Constitution and constitutional rights, not just particularly the Second Amendment, but the whole Constitution. And I think somebody else said it first. I just laughed because I saw a sign: if you don't have the Second Amendment, you can't defend the First. So, it reads exactly as we just copied twins, took this multiple signatures off, and just us three commissioners sign it. So,
well, it's interesting to note because you'll hear people say, "Well, you're just reaffirming this," and it's and I heard those questions from other people in media that, this doesn't have any teeth. But if that would be the case, then why is it such big news all the time when it happens?
True, but that's what our attorney told us. You're not doing anything legal-wise. It doesn't have any teeth. It's just reaffirming that yes, the rules are there in a place, and we support those rules, and that's what we look at. It's no different than murder's already against the law, and we're just going to say, well, we reaffirm that if you kill somebody, it's against the law. So basically, that's what our attorney told us.
But I also think that there's another component here, and that is it essentially says that and I don't know that these people in the Washington Beltway know where southern Idaho is, but it says that if they ever came in and tried to make a move on some of these constitutional rights, it essentially says these people in these county governments are not going to be cooperating.
Correct. Yeah, and that's up to the sheriff, and we have his backing. We didn't ask him if he wanted to sign it. We didn't ask him that one, but he's stated before that he wouldn't support some of the laws that, in his eyes and in the legal eyes, were not constitutional. So,
was it Newton County, Missouri? They voted similar resolution, but they said if somebody came in from the federal government and tried at some point to seize firearms, the sheriff was authorized to arrest them. So there's been some interesting takes on this around the country.
True.
I don't know that perhaps people here have had to say that, but that's definitely sending a warning out.
Right, and that question did come up yesterday, and again, our legal advice was, you can try it, but it is the feds. His words also were, do you think they're going to walk in and walk up to your door and try to take your guns? That's totally different. Then you've got to make those decisions as an individual, whether you're going to let them do that or not.
Right.
But, and I don't mind putting that out there to saying, no, we're not going to support you, but yet there's other ways to do it. That's what I said. They'll come after our purse strings first. So they'll take the money from the state, they'll take the money from the counties, and if you don't believe that, look what they're doing now. So,
but that's a risk. It seems that local governments are willing to do here.
Yes.
Which, in that sense, it does show that for all the people out there who think sometimes that people in government don't have a spine, that you've got one here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that, but I'll refer back to Texas, because Texas on the border thing, when the feds weren't going to give them any money to block their border and control the borders, then Texas, from the news release I read, said, well, we're going to take our state budget and we're not going to worry about taking federal money because that's where it comes from, and we're going to use our own state budget to control our own borders. And to me, just like we talked about the money that we have, I don't know how you want to say that. The unexpected income, how about that? Because it's not slush fund, it's not extra, but so the state of Idaho could also do that and then not worry about the feds coming in and not giving us the money that we need or use or normally get from the feds, because they'll come from the payment in lieu of taxes, the PILT money for the schools and things like that, the ones that they can get their fingers on, and this is just my personal opinion, but that's where they're going to come get you first, is the money.
And so, as a county official, you guys have to balance a budget, and so money becomes a real critical issue.
Yes.
How much federal money could they use as a wedge to force you into submission?
Well, I think our PILT money, the payment in lieu of taxes, I love all those acronyms. I think that's about $250,000, and out of a $12 million budget, because we just had our audit report yesterday, so I do know that number. That's not a great amount of money, but yet when you start cutting out little things here and there, the contributions from the feds, like you were talking earlier, to the highway districts and so forth and so on, the taxes from the gas, and it can add up very quickly. So it could hurt us. They could say we're not sending any federal prisoners to our jail, U.S. Marshals and stuff. We forbid you to do that. They'll figure out a way. So I don't know that exact number, but I think the PILT money is about $250,000.
So, but I think one thing we do have to understand, and that you guys have got a good understanding already, and that is they do have the power of the purse string.
Yes.
And if need be, they could be real tough to deal with.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, well, bureaucrats versus cowboys.
Well, we know which horse to ride.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, Commissioner, thank you so much for your time this morning, and on such short notice, too.
You bet.
Best wishes to you, Charlie. See you again.
Bless everybody out there. Thanks.